Beneath the faint hum of the orbital research station, Commander Arya Vance leaned over the sensor console, her eyes locked on a jittering cascade of symbols. The soft pulse of the station's artificial gravity was a rhythm she had long grown used to, but tonight every vibration seemed amplified, a subtle reminder that something was shifting in the vast darkness beyond. Her reflection in the glass. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes rimmed with sleepless determination, flickered as the display recalibrated, revealing a signal too deliberate to be the static song of the cosmos. Omar Reyes leaned against the bulkhead, arms crossed, his posture an unspoken commentary on the absurdity of midnight emergencies. "Looks like someone out there's got a better radio than we do," he said. Sarcasm clung to his words like static discharge, but there was curiosity in his gaze. He had a habit of masking interest with disdain, a defense Vance had learned not to dismantle. Dr. Maylin Chow joined them, tablet in hand, the glow casting delicate light across her features. She was quick and precise in movement, a quality that carried into her work. "That's not a comms test," she murmured. "It's mathematical. Prime numbers, golden ratio intervals, harmonic layering." She looked up, meeting Vance's gaze. "This is intentional. And it's human accessible." The words carried weight. Most deep space anomalies were dismissed as interference or unknown natural phenomena. This was neither. The message was shaped for understanding, as if the sender had studied humanity long enough to know their intellectual fingerprints. Vance tapped the control, freezing the data stream mid-cycle. The station's walls seemed to close in around her. Official protocol dictated immediate reporting to high command, but instinct urged caution. The military's appetite for secrets was voracious, and once they swallowed this, she and her crew would be reduced to spectators. Maylin scrolled through the captured sequence, her brow tightening. The modulation just shifted, its encoding language now. She hesitated before showing the screen. Ancient Greek characters flowed in clean, deliberate lines, text from civilization dead for over 2 millennia. Omar whistled low. "That's not random. Someone's trying to get our attention, and they're digging deep into our archives to do it." Before Vance could reply, the signal cut out. The sudden silence of the console was almost oppressive. Then the proximity alarm screamed. An object was inbound, its trajectory slicing in from beyond the Oort cloud at velocities no known vessel could achieve. Omar straightened, his earlier flippancy evaporating. "That's impossible. Nothing moves like that without a drive signature." Vance pulled up the tracking feed. The object wasn't emitting conventional propulsion traces. It was simply there and closing. Its mass reading spiked intermittently, as if the scanner was struggling to pin down reality. Maylin leaned over her shoulder, whispering as though afraid the object could hear her. "It's slowing down." They watched as the contact decelerated with surgical precision, halting at a point just outside the station's defensive perimeter. The image feed resolved into a shape, vast, geometric, and impossibly ancient. Triangular in form, its surfaces were weathered and irregular, coated in what looked like green growth. It could have been a derelict satellite, a long-lost colony ark. But there was something about the proportions, the sharpness beneath the decay, that felt alien. "Are we going to call this in?" Omar asked. Vance kept her eyes on the object. "Not yet." She felt the decision solidify in her gut. If High Command got their hands on this before they understood it, the truth would vanish behind classified doors. A faint vibration rippled through the station, a resonance, low and insistent. The same mathematical sequence from the earlier transmission now thrummed through the hull, not as sound, but as pressure against the bones. It was an invitation, patient but expectant. Maylin's voice was barely above a whisper. "It's the same sender, the same mind." Vance exhaled slowly. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing in from all sides, a mix of fear and anticipation. In her years of service, she had seen the reach of human ambition, the quiet defiance that kept them pushing outward despite the void's indifference. Whatever was waiting outside, it had chosen humanity. Or perhaps it had been waiting for them all along. She turned toward her crew. "Prep the shuttle. We're going to see it for ourselves." The air between them shifted, unspoken tensions tightening into a shared focus. Omar muttered something about suicide missions but moved to the controls. Maylin was already gathering scanning equipment, fingers trembling with restrained excitement. Through the viewport, the alien structure hung in the black like a relic from another age, silent and watchful. Somewhere deep inside, Van suspected it already knew what she would decide. The first step had been taken, and whatever path lay ahead, there would be no turning back. The shuttle's hull groaned faintly as it slipped free of the station's docking clamps, its thrusters whispering against a vacuum. Inside, the cabin lights painted pale arcs across the crew's faces, highlighting the tension that none of them dared to voice aloud. Van sat forward in the pilot's seat, though Torres handled the controls with steady precision. Outside, the alien vessel loomed larger with each passing second, its triangular mass both eerily symmetrical and scarred with time. Strips of what looked like moss clung stubbornly to its hull, swaying in the faint currents of displaced dust. "Looks more like it fell out of an ocean than from the sky," Omar muttered, scanning the surface. His hands never left the emergency override panel, as if ready to yank them back to safety at the first sign of danger. "It's alive," Maylin murmured. The sensors in her lap pulsed in shifting colors. Not biologically, but the readings, they're fluctuating like a heartbeat. Van said nothing. Every instinct told her the structure was not abandoned. Even in stillness, it radiated intent. As they approached the triangular opening at its center, Torres slowed their drift to a crawl. The edges were perfectly straight despite the wear, their angles too exact to be the product of chance. Crossing the threshold was like falling into a dream. Light filtered from no obvious source, suffusing the interior with a diffuse blue glow. The walls were composed of layered metallic plates, each etched with intricate lines that spiraled inward, converging at points that hummed faintly as the shuttle passed. Gravity reasserted itself in subtle increments, and Torres adjusted their trajectory with careful bursts. "Docking struts here," Omar pointed, his tone shifting from suspicion to fascination. This thing was built to receive visitors. Big ones. The shuttle touched down on a platform that stretched into shadow. Vance unbuckled, feeling the strange floor vibrate beneath her boots, as though the ship recognized their arrival. They disembarked in silence, every footstep absorbed by the alien metal. A corridor unfolded before them, its geometry disorienting. Angles seemed to shift as they walked, with walls that bent away only to curve back, funneling them deeper inside. Maylin paused a recess in the wall, running her gloved fingers across a panel of crystal. With a faint shimmer, it came to life, displaying images in rapid succession. Human images, cave paintings, the Rosetta Stone, Da Vinci sketches, Earth seen from Apollo's window, all cycling in perfect clarity. "This isn't possible," Maylin breathed. "These, they're perfect replicas, down to details that were lost centuries ago. Or," Omar said, "someone's been watching us for a very, very long time." The air seemed to tighten. Van stepped forward, studying the last image, a photograph she recognized instantly. Her father, standing at the Mars colony groundbreaking, smiling at a crowd. The memory hit her like a blow. Before she could speak, the chamber lit from above. Threads of light unfurled into the air, weaving themselves into a shape that was neither solid nor fluid, a lattice of luminous lines that shifted with every heartbeat. When it spoke, the words bypassed sound entirely, blooming fully formed in their minds. "You have come." The voice was neither singular nor plural, neither male nor female, and it resonated with an unsettling calm. Maylin stepped forward, her awe palpable. "You sent the signal." "Why?" "Because your kind is rare," the voice replied. "Most who rise from their worlds become predictable. You do not. You adapt in chaos. You thrive without knowing the outcome." Omar narrowed his eyes. "That sounds like a compliment with teeth." "It is a warning." The lattice shifted, expanding into a vast web. Through it, they saw visions, fleets of dark, jagged vessels consuming worlds, civilizations burning in cold fire. The images were too vivid to be abstract. "A force comes. It has ended thousands of worlds. It will reach yours." Vance's mind sharpened under the weight of the words. "You're offering help." "We offer choice," the entity corrected, accept our Vanguard protocol, and we will elevate your defenses beyond your imagining. But you will join the Alliance. You will no longer walk alone." Omar's voice was low. "And if we say no, then you will stand alone when the darkness arrives." Maylin turned to Vance, her expression torn between exhilaration and dread. "Commander, we can't ignore this. The threat is real. We need what they're offering." Vance stared into the lattice of light, feeling its attention rest fully on her. It wasn't just watching her. It was weighing her, as though her choice would echo far beyond her own species. And in that moment, she realized it already understood humanity's nature. It knew she wouldn't give an answer easily. The light dimmed slightly, as if in patience. "Decide soon. The time for choice is shorter than you think." And then the vision fractured, dissolving into the air, leaving them in the quiet pulse of the alien corridor, the unspoken urgency pressing down like deep water. Back aboard the station, the alien vessel still hung outside like a patient predator, silent and unmoving. The crew's return had not gone unnoticed. A cluster of military transmissions now pulsed through the comms array, encrypted and insistent. Vance ignored them for a moment, standing at the viewport with her arms crossed. Below her reflection, the triangular ship glimmered faintly against the darkness, a reminder that the choice before them was not simply strategic. It was irreversible. Omar was pacing near the operations console, muttering calculations under his breath. "They're hours out, Commander. Fleet Command's sending a cruiser group. Once they're here, whatever say we have and this is gone." His tone was a blend of warning and accusation, as though he still half expected Vance to hand the matter over. Maylin was seated, fingers tapping to the alien data she'd extracted. Her eyes shone with the feverish energy of someone who had glimpsed something vast. "We don't have to give it all away. We can take what we need, defensive schematics, propulsion upgrades, just enough to repel the threat." Vance's gaze didn't shift from the viewport. "And in exchange, we bind ourselves to an alliance we know nothing about. Every gain will come with a leash." The air felt taut, like a line drawn too tight between them. Outside, a faint distortion shimmered at the edge of the vessel's triangular opening. Torres reported it first, her voice low and controlled. "Commander, unidentified contacts entering the system. Trajectory matches hostile vector from the alien's projection." The timing was surgical. Whoever or whatever was coming had known exactly when to arrive. The alien lattice's voice returned, clear in their minds without any activation. "Now you see. Decide." Omar's hand hovered over the weapons console. "We can't win without them. You know that." Vance turned, her expression set. "We won't win by becoming something we can't undo either." She took a step closer to Maylin's station. "What if we use it once? Take just enough to survive this fight. Lock the rest away where even the Alliance can't touch it." "That's not how they work," Maylin said, but her voice faltered with uncertainty. "It's how we work," Vance countered. "Adapt, improvise, walk away still human." A beat of silence passed before the alien voice answered. "No one has ever chosen partial integration, but you may try." The ship outside shifted, plates along its hull reconfiguring like the opening of an ancient vault. Energy surged through the station systems, alien blueprints streaming into their databases. Omar's eyes widened at the specifications. Hybrid weapons, shield harmonics, maneuvering algorithms unlike anything humanity had built. The hostile fleet arrived in a staggered arc, black shapes blotting the stars. No lights, no broadcasts, only the cold certainty of intent. Torres maneuvered the station to face them while the hybrid systems came online. The first enemy strike hammered their shields, and the new defenses flared in brilliant waves of light, holding just long enough for Omar to return fire. The fight was chaos distilled. The hostile ships adapted rapidly, but so did the humans. They bent the alien tactics into unpredictable patterns, changing formations mid-battle, overloading weapons in ways the original schematics had never intended. The curator's algorithms had not accounted for this kind of reckless ingenuity, and for a moment, Vance thought she sensed curiosity from the lattice as it observed. When the last hostile vessel broke apart in silence, the battlefield drifted into uneasy stillness. The triangular ship's glow dimmed, its voice a faint echo. "Your choice is made." Vance didn't answer. Instead, she gave Omar the signal. He triggered the device they prepared, a cascading command that caused the alien vessel systems to fold in on themselves. In moments, the ship vanished, leaving only empty space and a scattering of inert fragments. Malin's shoulders slumped, relief tangled with grief. "We could have learned so much more. And given up more than we understood," Vance replied. She looked back to the empty stars, knowing the Alliance had witnessed their defiance. Far beyond the system, in the quiet gulf between galaxies, something vast was moving, larger than the fleet they had just faced, its silhouette swallowing the starlight. Whatever came next, humanity would meet it on its own terms. The wreckage drifted silently, illuminated by the pale light of a distant sun. Days had passed since the battle, yet the tension aboard the station had not eased. The alien vessel's disappearance left no trace, but encrypted fragments buried deep in the station's core, locked, dormant, and accessible only through codes Vance had committed to memory. Outside, debris from the hostile fleet floated in lazy arcs, a quiet reminder of the cost of survival. Malin moved through the lab like a shadow, her tablet held close. She had not forgiven Vance's decision to destroy the alien ship. "We cut ourselves off from the only thing that might have kept them from coming back," she said, without looking up. Her tone was even, but the undertone was sharp. "We kept them from owning us," Vance replied. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The command deck had a way of amplifying conviction. Omar sat at the engineering console, tuning a power relay. "And now we get to wait for round 2, he muttered. "Hope your gamble pays off, Commander." "It's not a gamble," Vance said, though the words felt heavier than she intended. "It's a refusal." The comms ray pinged, 3 sharp tones. An incoming transmission, unmarked and without encryption. Torres patched it through, and the main display filled with a lattice of light they thought had vanished with the alien ship. This time, it was dimmer, the geometry less precise, like a flame flickering against wind. "You are not finished." The curator's voice filled their minds. "The darkness moves faster than predicted. You delayed it, nothing more." Malin stepped forward. "Then give us the rest. If you truly value humanity's survival, stop testing us." "It is not a test," the voice replied. "It is preparation. You must face what comes without chains." But chains are not only forged by the Alliance. The meaning struck Vance harder than she expected. Humanity's own fear, ambition, and rivalry to bind them just as tightly as any alien pact. She knew, even without the curator's words, that the military would already be dissecting the battle records, searching for patterns in the hybrid technology they had seen. The next war might not be against an alien fleet. It could be fought between human factions, each claiming they knew best how to protect the species. The lattice began to fade, but its final words lingered. "When the shadow falls, your kind will either stand together or vanish apart." The display went dark, leaving the crew in a silence that felt colder than space. Omar broke it first. "So, bigger fleet coming, no alien backup, and a possible civil war. Feeling good about our odds yet?" Vance allowed herself the smallest of smiles. "Better than feeling owned." She turned to Torres. "Plot a course. Not to Earth. Not yet. We need allies who think like we do." Malin's head snapped up. "You mean the fringe colonies? They've spent decades refusing both military oversight and corporate control," Vance said. "If anyone understands how to fight without handing over their future, it's them." Torres hesitated. "That'll paint a target on us with fleet command." Vance met her eyes. "Good. Let them see where we stand." The station's engines came alive with a low, resonant hum, pushing them toward the edge of the system. In the viewport, the shattered remains of the battlefield fell behind, shrinking into pinpoints against the void. Ahead lay the uncharted stretches where maps ended and risks multiplied, a place where choices couldn't be dictated by the powerful, only made by those willing to bear their cost. For a moment, Vance let herself feel the weight of it all. The enemies closing in, the allies not yet found, the decisions that would shape not just survival but identity. Humanity's fate was still unwritten, and in that uncertainty, she found resolve. The darkness was coming, but so were they.